The Wood Whisperer is sponsored by Powermatic and Typebond. So my mom is moving to the Denver area, which is really good news. And when she moved away from Arizona, I told her, sell some of that furniture. You don't have to move it all around with you. I'll build you some new stuff. And now it's time to make good on that promise. The first thing I need to make for her is a big bed, a king-size bed. And she kind of likes the mid-century modern style, so that's what I made. Now, this project is a guild project. If you want the plans and the full, I think there's 9 videos in this series, go to thewoodwhispererguild.com. You could pick that up. But in the meantime, let me give you a quick review and show you how it all went together. Most of the bed will be made from 8-quarter walnut stock. I'll start by milling up the legs. Every time I show the Capex now, I get a bunch of comments like, "You're back to the Capex? Oh my god, you're using the Capex again? When did you start using the Capex again?" Let me clear the air. I'm using the Capex again. So I have to make 2 long headboard legs and 2 short footboard legs. Both will be made by gluing up 2 pieces of walnut to get the desired thickness. After the glue dries, I can cut them to final dimension. The headboard will also have 1 leg in the middle, but that one stays as an 8-quarter piece. Now let's make some joints. I'll start with the mortises. The bulk of the material is removed with a Forstner bit. Then I can use the router with an edge guide to finish them off. I'll remove the ridges with a chisel, but I'm going to leave the corners rounded because I'm lazy. Where the side rails join the footboard legs, I want some knockdown joints, so I'm going to go with a chunky sliding dovetail. There are lots of hardware solutions out there that would work just fine, but I thought a sliding dovetail would be fun and unique, and most importantly, strong. I'll carefully lay out the socket on the leg, then clear out the bulk of the material with a Forstner bit. I plan on using a big dovetail bit for the final passes, but I want to reduce the strain on the bit as much as possible, so I'll chisel away some of the excess. At the router table, I'll use this big hunking bit to get the final shape. Because of the slope of the bit, the bottom of the slot has a bit of an angle, so I want that to be flat. Now we can mill up the rail stock. There are 2 side rails, a footboard rail, and 1 center rail. Using the dado stack at the table saw, I'll cut tenons on the ends. Because the mortises have round corners, I'll round the corners of the tenons to match. Remember that our footboard has the dovetail slot, so the front end of the side rails needs the male side of the dovetail. We'll use the same router bit to make it, but we first need to make a jig that can hold the piece vertically. This jig is super simple, made out of plywood, and its only purpose is to make it safer for me to run this board vertically across the router table. With both vertical and horizontal support, I can sneak up on the perfect fitting dovetail, even with this long workpiece. And that's the fit we're looking for. Now I'll add a taper to the top of the headboard legs. This will make the headboard slant back just a bit, and it should look pretty cool. Once I cut to rough size, I joint the face of each taper to clean it up. Now I need a bunch of mortises in the legs for the headboard slats. The best way to locate them accurately is by using a story stick, which tells me the start and the stop points of each mortise. Now for the headboard slats. I'm going to cut this big piece in half and then resaw those pieces down the middle to get my top 4 slats. This should create a really cool visual effect that'll become a little bit more obvious later. The bottom 2 slats will be obscured by pillows, so I'll use plain stock for that. Each slat then gets a tenon on the end. As you can see, I usually round my tenons to fit the mortises. You can also square up the mortise with a chisel if you prefer. Now time for a little bit of dry assembly to check our progress. And look, there's my brother-in-law Jay. Jay had to go back to Missouri, so this is the last time you're going to see him on the show. We do have a new guy starting this month, so I better get all the glitter and tassels ready for the hazing process. Next, we need to make the platform frame. This is a big frame that sits down on top of the structure and gives the bed its clean platform look. At the corners, I'll join the pieces with half laps. They're plenty strong, and that alternating end grain is going to look pretty cool. Depending on your situation, you might consider making the frame knock down as well. It's not really heavy, but it's super big and awkward and kind of difficult to move around. So next up, we need to beef up the rails. I'll be gluing on a piece of 4/4 stock to the insides of the rails. That's not only going to make the rails a little bit stronger, but it's going to give us a ledge that we can mount our mattress support slats to. Because this detail will never be seen, I'm just using some shorter stock with a lot of sapwood and doing the glue up in 2 phases. To give this bed as much support as possible while maintaining its light appearance, I'm making some supports for the center rail. These supports will actually take the lion's share of the weight, providing direct floor contact where it's needed most, but also in a place it'll never be seen. Now for some finishing touches. The headboard looks a little bit too fancy, so I'll pillow the front face ever so slightly. It's a lot of work, but it softens their appearance in a really subtle way. All of the legs get tapers at the foot. Next, I'll drill for some hardware at the rear. By drilling the hole with the side rail in the mortise, I can get a perfect starter hole in the end of the tenon. I could then finish the hole with the joint apart and epoxy in a threaded insert. Now I'm a little bit more relaxed about the appearance of hardware at the back because it's going to go against the wall, but I still want to make sure that the hardware looks a little bit nicer by using a bluing solution. Now everything gets a nice little round over edge treatment and a thorough sanding. And then it's time for the glue up. Now while I don't really need the water resistance, Titebond 3 gives me a little bit more working time, so it's a decent choice for a bigger glue up like this. The mattress supports will be cut from a piece of plywood. My mom's mattress is one of those smelly foam thingies that YouTubers often get for free when they do bed videos, and it's the gaps that we're really worried about, so we want wide slats and small gaps. For the finish, I'm using a hard wax oil. I've got a lot of this walnut tinted stuff left over from a flooring project, and it happens to look really good on walnut. Doesn't really change the color that much, but sort of reinforces it, and it helps some of the sapwood blend in to the heartwood, if there's sapwood present. Now, I'll be honest, assembling a bed for a final shot in my mom's actual bedroom would be kind of anticlimactic, and as it turns out, I am fresh out of generic industrial backgrounds and brick walls for staging a bed, so I'm making do with the final assembly in my driveway. Oh, and if you don't like the sheets, that's fine. I don't either. My mom's got weird taste. All right, so here we are, sitting on a bed in the driveway. It's super weird, but we're gonna get some good pictures, so that's all that counts. Overall, happy with the way everything turned out. And Ava, you wanna come over here? Here we go. Once in a lifetime opportunity. Hanging out in a bed in the driveway. Remember, if you want all of the details in the full 9 video series, it's just waiting for you at thewoodwhispererguild.com. Toodles!